Now, this week, the government of Senegal said something many African governments are too scared to say out loud. No. No to the United Nations, no to the Dutch embassy, and no to the so-called LGBTQI documentary screening in Dakar. Now, the event hosted under the banner of inclusion was cancelled, and the government warned clearly and firmly that there would be repercussions for anyone who tried to push that agenda against the will of the people. And I, for one, respect that. Now, let me be clear on the facts, right? A film screening organized by the UN and the Dutch embassy was planned in Dakar. The film, called MIWA, We Are Here, is a documentary focused on LGBTQI women and trans women in West Africa. Now, understand. Senegal has laws, values, and a culture that does not support same-sex relations. In fact, Article 3119 of the Penal Code criminalizes it. And that is a sovereign law, whether outsiders like it or not. Now, when MP Guy Mauritius Sagna raised the alarm, the public responded swiftly. The backlash was so strong that the government cancelled the event outright. Not quietly, not with diplomatic pleasantries, but with clarity, saying, do not bring this here. Now, here's what the West won't admit. This isn't about love. It's not about tolerance. It's about cultural control. It's about global North elites using the language of rights to bulldoze African societies into submission. I mean, they say they're bringing progress, but progress for who exactly? And at what cost? Because let's not pretend when Western embassies and international NGOs come to Africa with rainbow flags in one hand and donor checks in the other, that's not solidarity. That's conditional diplomacy. That's the take our values or lose our aid. That's neocolonialism. Africa is not your social experiment. Our communities are not blank slates waiting to be reprogrammed by foreign funded NGOs. We have our own complexities, our very own systems of morality, of family and spirituality. Do we have work to do on justice? Yes. And protecting vulnerable people, of course, right? But that must come from within and not from external pressure masquerading as progress. Because in South Africa, we've legalized same-sex marriage nearly 2 decades ago. And yet, are we more stable, more unified, more just? No. Because you cannot legislate belonging without dealing with inequality, community, and cultural context. Otherwise, you build resentment and not justice. Now ask yourselves, why would the UN and the Dutch embassy organize such an event in Senegal, a nation with openly conservative laws and widespread societal opposition to LGBTQI expression? Was it really about dialogue? Or was it about provocation? Was it about support? Or was it about flexing globist muscle on African soil? And let's call it what it is. Cultural imperialism. And before anyone tries to twist this, right, opposing cultural imperialism is not the same as hating queer people. That's the lazy argument that they love to throw around. But the real conversation here is about sovereignty, is about whether African people have the right to decide their own cultural direction without interference and without being labeled as backward or barbaric. If the Dutch want to show LGBTQI films, then they can do that in Amsterdam. If the UN wants to host safe spaces, then they can do that in Geneva. But when you come to Africa, respect our house, respect the laws, respect the rules. And if you don't, then don't be surprised when the door gets closed in your face. Senegal's stand is not just about Senegal, but I believe it's about Africa. It's about reminding ourselves and the world that we are not cultural satellite orbiting around the West. We are not passive recipients of foreign ideologies. We are thinking, breathing, spiritual people with the right to set our own course. So I absolutely stand with Senegal. I stand with African nations choosing sovereignty over spectacle. I stand with the idea that Africa has the right to say no, and not out of hate, but out of love for its own identity. Now, this is not about silencing anyone. It's about protecting the collective voice of a people still recovering from centuries of being spoken over. Now, let's continue the conversation in the comment section. I'd really like to hear what your thoughts are on this. And while you're at it, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. That's it from me till we meet again.